And happy Sabbath. Let me hear you say happy Sabbath. In case you haven't figured it out, we live in a crazy world, right? We live in a world that is filled with busyness and craziness. You have appointments to keep, you have classes to get to, you have homework to turn in, you have tests to study for, you have, your praise band, you have gymnastics that just consumes your whole life. You have so much going on, deadlines to meet, stories to keep up on Snapchat. There's so much craziness in this world. There's so much busyness in this world. And there's so much noise in this world. But God, 7,000 years ago, when he created the world, he knew that you in 2017 would need a moment, would need some time to step away from the craziness and busyness and noise of this world. And he created the Sabbath for us to just take a minute and to just exhale from all the stress that the week has created. We get to exhale. We get to take a step away from the noise, and we get to connect with the God of the universe. So tonight, as we begin Vespers, as we bring in the Sabbath, I just want to invite us to just be silent for just a few minutes. We're going to have a couple of times, especially as we begin here, we're going to have just a moment of silence, and I just want you to read what's on the screen. And after song service, we're going to have another moment of silence. And I invite you for just a minute to be still and know that God is God. So let's just be silent for just a minute.
chain will break, as broken hearts declare His praise. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles, and every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb, and every knee will bow before Him. So open up the gates, make way before the King of Kings. The God who comes to save is here to set the captives free. But who can stop the Lord Almighty? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles, and every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chain, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb, and every knee will bow before Him.
That at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow, of those in earth, of those in heaven, and of those below the earth.
Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles, and every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb, and every knee will bow before Him. He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of His wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful You are and how great Your affections are for me. And oh, how He loves us so. Oh, how He loves us. How He loves us so. He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of His wind and mercy. by the grace in his eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. So heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. And I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I think about the way that he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. Yeah, he loves us. Alone in my sorrow and dead in my sin, lost without hope, no place to begin. Your love made a way to let mercy come in. When death was arrested and my life began, ash was redeemed, only beauty remains. My orphan heart was given a name. My mourning grew quiet, my feet rose to dance. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Released from my chains, I'm a prisoner no more. My shame was a ransom you faithfully bore. He canceled my debt and he called me his friend. Oh, it's when death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Our Savior displayed on a criminal's cross. Darkness rejoiced as though heaven had lost. But then Jesus arose with our freedom in hand. began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Oh, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested, my life began. Oh, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life begins. When death was arrested and my life began. Be seated.
Amen. Happy Sabbath. Okay, wow, okay, good, right? Dude, you don't have to worry about school. Amen. You don't have to worry about work, right? Like, it's like I think Josh was saying this, it's like somehow, before Jesus said, let there be light, he knew we would just be these machines that just keep going and going and going and going, and eventually we would just run out of steam, and he just knew that we needed time to just exhale. So it's good. It's good. I can't believe it's Friday already, right? It's gone by quickly. Well, for me, maybe you guys are like, ugh, it's him again. Okay, don't worry. It's Friday already. Yeah, okay, I have a quick question. If you were to, I guess I can put it on the screen. Good, excellent, thank you, tech team. Wow, the tech team, they're on it, thank you. If you were to contemplate this, if you were to interview me and your job was to find out whether or not I really loved my wife, what questions would you ask me? Like, I'm gonna tell you, so I have a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm ready. What question, if you really wanted to know if I love my wife, what questions would you ask me? Okay, yeah. Okay. that came out of it. I don't know where that came from, but okay. What are my, okay, give me a second. You guys have all seen my penmanship, right? Okay. Well, I can get the board out, but okay. What are my least favorite, I don't need it. It's okay, Josh. We're good. What are my least favorite, what'd you say? Aspects. Okay. That is interesting. Okay, good. Well, what's another? Yeah. Wow. Okay. This is going way a different direction than I was anticipating. Okay. Mom, wife, save one. Okay, question mark. Okay, excellent. What's another one? Yeah. Wait, what? Okay, so you're asking me what do I spend my free time doing? Okay, free time doing. Okay. Let's get a few more. You want to know, if you're asking me, do I really love my wife? Yeah. Favorite thing to do with her, okay? Okay? Yeah. Who takes who on a date? Okay, good. Some of the brothers are like, ooh, this is good. I'm going to write this down. Okay, good. Who takes who on a date? Okay? Let's just get a few more. Okay, I'm going to go here and then over there. They're all waving at me. Okay, hold up. 1 second. Let's go here. Yeah, you. Kiss her with morning breath. Excellent. Some of you are thinking, what in the world are we doing right now? Okay. I can't even read my own writing. This is terrible. Okay. Let's just do like a couple more. All the people waving. Yeah. Good. How often do I say, I love you? Okay. Maybe one more. Yeah, you. Wow. Would I die for my wife? Okay. Okay, last one. Okay, yeah. How many years of what? Marriage. That's how you want to know if I love her? Okay. Okay, how many years? Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right, well, okay, for reals. Okay, I got like 9 here. Okay, years, married. Okay, last one. Yeah, for real, last one. Yeah. This is number 10. Wow. That's a good one. Not would I die for her, would I live for her? Okay, some of you are like, wow. Okay, we just changed one word. Okay, so would I live for her? Okay, now, so these are, okay, so you want to know, do I really love my wife? Not just walk around with a wedding ring. Do I really love her? Your questions would be, what are my least favorite aspects of her? If, and, okay, I know she doesn't want to be embarrassed, but my sister is here, and so she knows my mama, right? Because it's her mama. So my sister's visiting with her family. Yeah, give her some love. Thank you. That's Jennifer and her family back there. Okay, so my sister knows both my mama and my wife. Pretty sure I know what she would say. So for my wife and my mom, or my mom, if I had to save one, which one would I save? Okay, number 3, what free time doing? Oh, how do I spend my free time with her? Something like that, okay. Favorite thing to do with her? Who takes who on a date? Do I kiss her with morning breath? How often do I say I love you? Would I die for her? How many years have I been married? Would I live for her? Is that pretty good? You think you could have an accurate gauge if I love my wife if I answered those questions? Yeah, probably, right? Okay. Here's my question. What if we ask those questions to Jesus? So we go to Jesus and say, Jesus, what aspects about me are your least favorite? What if we go to Jesus and we say, Jesus, if it's me or my mom, I don't know, okay. Which one would you save? Okay, I don't know. Jesus, what do you spend your free time doing with me? How would Jesus answer these questions if these were the questions we were to ask him? What about this? Jesus, what is your favorite thing to do with me? Jesus, who takes who on a date? This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It is Sabbath. And I think he's the one that said, I'm a jealous God, jealous like a lover. So I want to have a date with you. He's the one that initiated dates with us every week. Okay, I'm done with that sermon. Okay. Jesus, will you kiss me with morning breath? Okay. Jesus, how often do you say you love me? Jesus, would you die for me? Jesus, how many years have we been together or married? Well, according to the scriptures, since before time began. And then finally, Jesus, would you live for me? And let's just take one step further. What if we were to ask you? And what if Jesus were asking you these questions? What if Jesus said to you, GCA, Jesus says to you, what are your least favorite aspects of me? What if Jesus said, well, that's kind of weird. Okay, but we could say, okay, Jesus, if Jesus asked you, it's between me or someone else, who would you pick? Jesus asks you, what do you spend your free time doing? Jesus says, or asks you, what is your favorite thing to do with me? What if Jesus were to ask you, who takes who on a date? What if Jesus were to ask you, will you kiss me with morning breath? Okay, not sure. Okay, that's like the whatever. Okay, Jesus asks you, what if Jesus were to ask you, how often do you say you love me? What if Jesus were to ask you, would you die for me? What if Jesus were to ask you, how many years have we been together? And then finally, you already know the last one. What if Jesus were to ask you, would you live for me? See, it's easy, right? Some of you, as you were going through these questions and stuff that I was getting, many of you have asked, okay, I've been through week of prayers, I've been through sermons and Bible classes like my whole life, but like, how do we make this thing like real? How do we make this real? And here's the struggle. We kind of like two different things, okay? So here's the thing. I went to the store. I got some Simply lemonade. Have you tried this stuff? I mean, do you, I like lemonade. You got to shake it first, right? Okay, sorry, got to shake it. Do you like lemonade? Wow, I mean, when it's wicked hot out, right? I mean, crazy hot. And it's humid, right? It's so humid you can just like drink the air. But when it's super hot and humid and you've been playing ball, I saw some people playing basketball out there earlier, right? And, you know, sometimes you really want water, but sometimes, man, like ice cold lemonade. I just need a moment for this. Have you tried this stuff? Wow. Simply lemonade. This is good. Okay, I'm not getting paid, but wow. So we like this stuff. We do. Here's the thing. I got some mocha frappuccino. Oh, gotta shake it first. Okay. Have you tried this stuff? No. Okay. Okay. And here's the thing. Some of you are thinking, what is happening? The chocolate and it's just like a party in my mouth right now. It's like, So here's the thing. Sometimes we say, I love lemonade. It's good. I love lemonade. So good. But then sometimes we say, no, I need some frappuccino. And here's the problem. We go to a week of prayer, we go to church, we have some stuff, and this is how we are in life. And some of us, I believe you. When we sing these songs like, oh, how he loves us, and you are like in it, right? And you say, yes, I love Jesus. Yes, this is good. Yes, this is good, right? And some of you are like, yes, I love Jesus, and I believe you when you say that. So we have some lemonade. But sometimes there are also some other things we love. Can you imagine what's happening in my mouth right now? I may hurl. So somebody, right? But here's the thing. Some of us, not all of us, but some of us, we wake up in the morning and we say, oh, Jesus, I love you. I smoke pot. Oh. This is, I really should have thought about this first. We say, yes, I'm going to start my day with you, Jesus, and we have devotions. Naked girls on the internet. Or we say things like, I want to get up and lead in praise and worship band. I can't, this is such a bad idea. But I like to get drunk and turn up. And okay, I gotta be done. But you get the point. Right? We kind of live in these two worlds. And it's like, no, this is good. It's week of prayer. It's Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. And we look all nice and we smell good and whatever. And then there's this other stuff sometimes. And then sometimes this is what we think. Maybe not everyone, but some of us, this is what we think. We're like, well, I'm mostly good. Yeah, you know. You know, we say things like, you get the idea, right? Please, right? Don't contaminate. You know, but we say, no, I go to GCA. I was baptized. I get A's in Bible. Yes, thank you, Jesus, right? I call my parents every now and then. I go to Vespers on time. I obey most of the rules, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, every now and then. Oh. And you're like, well, that was just that one time. It was over the summer. It doesn't count, right? And then, but, you know, everything is okay. But then, you know, things happen, and then you get invited to this, and you go do that, and then you're like, well, maybe just a little bit more, right? And you're thinking, well, but, put that down here. But then we think, well, but I'm mostly good. I mean, it's just a little bit. What is it, like 80-20? And so we think, well, it's, you know, whatever, it's okay. And you know I love you, right? So then we think, yeah, it's mostly okay. You know, people understand, right? You know, we're all sinners, and so we just go for it. Ugh. And oh wow, and it's just sick. It's sick. And honestly, like right now, some of us in this room, some of us right now, this is us. If we're really honest with ourselves and with each other, but most importantly, if we're really honest before God, this is us. And so really the question that many of you have been asking is, so what do we do about it? Because we can't kind of keep going back and forth in these two worlds, right? Because we don't want to be this. We know that there's something better than just this. So here's the thing. It was in 2002, and I was on my way home to Chicago from Southern. It was spring break, dude. Do you know spring break? Do you know that feel? Okay, y'all are about to go on home leave, but like spring break. Like, do you have anything on your mind when it's spring break? Nope, right? I mean, you are like good to go. So it was spring break for me. I was going from Southern up to Chicago to visit my family, and I'm on my way home. I'm on I-65 North, right? So if you know where that is. And everything is good. I'm driving my Jeep, dude. The windows are down. The music is up. I'm talking on the phone with my girlfriend. It was good. Yeah, thank you. And then I saw it. Going down the highway, like dark clouds that like seem angry. You know what I'm talking about. We just had this the other day. And then have you ever like seen it? Like you see the storm like out in the distance and it looks like a wall of like waving water. You know what I'm talking about? It was like that. And I was thinking, oh, it's like a ways away. It'll be fine. Right? So I'm still on the phone with my girl, right? You know, music's going and everything's good. But then like that wall of like water, those angry clouds just seemed to get like it was getting closer and closer. And then pretty soon, just like the other night, like just huge, thunderous like water bullets became like to rain down on my Jeep like machine gun fire. And you know how it is when it rains so hard that it's loud inside your car? Like, I mean, it's really loud. So you know what I did, right? It's coming down like super hard, right? So I say, babe, I gotta go. Hang up the phone, roll up the windows, turn down the radio, turn the lights on, turn the window wipers on, and I'm like, have my hands on that what do you call that thing? Steering wheel, thank you. On that steering wheel, right? With like at the 10 and 2 position, right? Holding on for like a kung fu grip. Because it was for real. It was a storm. And going down 65, I slowed down, right? I'm a pretty good driver, but, you know, I'm in college, so I'm in a Jeep, and, you know, Jeeps are tanks. So I just keep going, but other people are starting to pull over, but I keep going. I slow down a little bit, and it just, within a couple minutes, I don't know how much time went by, but not much. Pretty soon, my Jeep, like, plunged into this massive, like, sea of water, a puddle. And you know what happens when you're speeding, and you hit a puddle like that? You hydroplane. And so I'm in the Jeep. I was actually in the slow lane, right, the right-hand lane. And then when I hit that hydroplane, I began to slide and spin at the same time. So I slid from the right-hand lane. Okay, okay. I slid from the right-hand lane and started to slide into the left-hand lane while spinning. And then I went from the left-hand lane to the left-hand shoulder. Came this, right, a full 180. Continued to spin and went from the shoulder down to like that grassy like median area, you know, like in the interstate there. Went into there and finally rested, spinning an entire 540 degrees like in that grassy median area. Totally out of control because it was a storm. And sometimes that's how life is. And we don't need to like beat the metaphor to death, but there are people right now, some of your family right now, maybe even here, right? I'm getting in my car and driving to Ohio tomorrow, but maybe people here are preparing for a storm. And sometimes, right, those are like weather storms, but here's the reality. You know this, right? You guys have been around long enough. Sometimes storms in our life make us look like this. Like, think about some storms. You know what I'm talking about? Like relational storms or friendship storms. Right, there's drama that happens. No, you don't have drama at GCA. Okay, you don't understand. Right, but like, you know, you can imagine other people have drama. Or maybe a health storm. Maybe someone you love, maybe you get a diagnosis that just came out of nowhere. And you just feel like you're out of control. Maybe it's a relationship storm. Maybe it's a family storm. There's stuff going on with your family and you're just out of control and it makes no sense and you're just like, you're not quite sure what to do. Maybe some of you are in a spiritual storm. You kind of keep going back and forth, just like this, and it's just, you feel sick, and you're not really sure, and you're kind of out of control, and you're like, man, what am I going to do? And here's the thing. This phenomenon, like, this is nothing new. Like, just think about, like, through the scriptures for a second. Like, imagine Adam. Here's Adam, he's chilling, he's doing his thing in the garden, and all of a sudden, here comes, like, the love of his life with a piece of fruit. And like juice stains on her lips. And in that moment, right, for Adam, like he had to make this decision. Am I going to choose my God or my wife? I mean, that's a storm. We can keep on going through scriptures, right? What about Abraham? Abraham, he's up on top of that mountain. He's looking at his son, like his beloved son. He's got that knife up, right? He's looking into the eyes of his son. I mean, what kind of storm would that be? Or David, he's out chilling on his rooftop one day, and he looks over at a certain other rooftop, and like, there's a storm. We could just kind of walk through the scriptures, and people wrestled with stuff where it was like they were totally out of control, and oftentimes looked and felt like this. So here's the thing. We're coming to the end. We have today and tomorrow. I'm pumped about tomorrow. I hope you're coming tomorrow. But what do we do about it? That's really our question. And I kind of have some good news, I think, about this. Here's the thing. When it comes to storms, it seems to me that sometimes God speaks to us, shows that he's in control, And sometimes that happens after the storm. Because here's the thing. All of us in this room, this is what I believe. I believe all of us in this room, we're somewhere on like the spectrum. Some of us, right now, at this exact moment, you're in the middle of some junk right now. Some sort of emotional thing, like you're kind of depressed or feeling down. Maybe it's a spiritual thing. You're not really sure, like, this God and this not, and what's happening. Maybe it's a family thing. Maybe some of you, the thought of going home for home life is just freaking you out because home life is awful. Or it's a health thing or whatever. But some of us are in a storm. Maybe it's financial. Maybe, I have no idea how much this place costs. But maybe some of you are like, I don't know how we're going to pay this bill. So some of us are in a storm. We're in something right now where we feel totally out of control. Some of us. Some of us in this room, we just came from a storm. Maybe it was like last month or over the summer or last year or last week or yesterday or an hour ago. But for some of us, we just went through some junk and we got through it. But then some of us in this room, no, the past was okay. No, right now it's okay. But here's the thing. Then I would bet anything that means you're about to go into one. So what do? And I think the scriptures help us with this, right? Sometimes God gives us a sign that he's in control after the storm. And you guys know an example of this, right? This is the most basic. It's in Genesis, right? There's like the flood and Noah and all of that. And then this is what it says in Genesis. It's after the storm, after the flood and the 40 days and the 40 nights. And they're stuck inside that box for over a year. Can you imagine what it would smell like? Anyway, okay, so, and then this is what it says. Then God said, I'm giving you a sign of my covenant with you and with all living creatures. Okay, check this out. For all generations to come. That includes us. So God is saying, for all of us, right here, all generations to come, I have placed my rainbow in the clouds. It is a sign of my covenant with you and with all the earth. When I send clouds over the earth, the rainbow will appear in the clouds, and I will remember my covenant with you and with all living creatures. Never again will the floodwaters destroy all life. It's like after the storm, God says, I will give you a sign that I'm in control. But first he speaks. So what is this like? So it was several years ago. I probably should remember, but it was like 2008, 2009, 2010, something like that. I found out that this woman in Thailand, her name's Momo, which is kind of a funny name. And this woman in Thailand, she's like in her late 60s, and she's out in the middle of the jungle at this place called Bamboo School. And there are all these jungle orphans out there, and she takes care of all by herself. And she sets up this orphanage, and like it's terrible conditions. They don't have running water. They don't have electricity. They all just kind of have like these bamboo huts, and she's just out there like trying to take care of all these kids like all by herself, and she's old. And so I found out about this, so I write her an email, and she writes back and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, good. She needs help. So I worked at Loma Linda Academy at the time, so to go to my students at Loma Linda, I'm like, listen, y'all, there's this woman out there in the middle of the jungle in Thailand, no electricity, no running water. It's absolutely terrible. Lots of children who need a lot of help and love and attention. There's one woman out there taking care of all of them by herself. It's going to cost like $2,500, and it's going to be the worst conditions you could possibly imagine, but I want to go help her. She needs some help. So anyone want to come with me? And immediately I had like 50 hands say, yeah, I want to go. So we went, and we took this trip to Thailand, and we ended up taking about 26 kids. And we go out there, and we're there for 2 weeks. And we get to Bamboo School, and there's this one lady, Momo Cat. She's like in her late 60s, taking care of all these jungle children and educating them and training them, because people there, if they have a baby and they don't know what to do with it, they just take the baby to Momo and say, I don't want it, you take it. And then they walk away. So she has all of these children. So we go out there to help her out, and these are some of my students. And what she really needed was a road. They didn't have a road. And so she said, can you guys build us a road? And it's like 400 degrees, and it's insanely hot. But yeah, we'll build you a road. So we make her a road. And we're out there, and everything seems to be going really, really well for like a week and a half. Toward the end of the trip, I think it was a Thursday, and really, really late at night, every night, right, we're out in I don't know if you can tell, but we're out in the middle of the jungle, right? It's the bush out there. It's the rainforest, and so every night it would just thunder down the rain. And of course, when it thunders down the rain, all like the creepy crawlies, like they have giant centipedes there. Like, it's evil. Like they're like this. Anyway, but all the creepy crawlies and all the snakes and lizards and all manner of evil, they're all in the ground, but when it rains, they all come up out of the ground. And we're in bamboo huts, like no walls, not really floors, so they get everywhere. And so we're out there, and it was thundering down the rain, and I hear a scream. Now, I'm out in the middle of the jungle with high school kids, with creepy crawlies and snakes and lizards and giant centipedes everywhere. Of course, there are going to be screams, right? So I don't really think anything of it until I heard the voice of my sponsor, or another sponsor, a woman sponsor, Jessica. She comes running over, and she kind of yells through the bamboo hut wall. She says, Jason, Lisa was just bit by a snake. So I jump out of bed. I go to where the girls and Lisa were staying. I brought a doctor with me, an American doctor. I always take American doctors with me wherever I go. I happened to bring a Thai one who knew the culture, who knew the language. And so I go get Dr. Vizenchart. We go over to Lisa, and like I can just tell, like by Dr. Ben's face, like he's panicked. He's really worried. Because Momo just told us a few days earlier that there was a boy from the village that on a Sunday was bit by a black cobra, and by Wednesday the boy died. And that's the only thing on my mind. And Ben was there. He heard that too. And so he's looking at her foot, and Lisa's foot is just swelling up like crazy. She's screaming in pain. So I'm like, Ben, we got to get this girl. We have to go to the bush clinic like now. Lisa was a junior. So all the kids are freaking out. As you can imagine, they all start praying, right, in the rain outside. And I leave my sponsors there. We come up with a plan. We pick her up, put her in the only vehicle we had, take her out to the bush clinic. We get to the bush clinic, and Dr. Ben Vizenchart is talking to the doctors there, and Ty. They're just kind of arguing back and forth. They put Lisa down on this bed, and she's like screaming in pain. Like her foot just continues to just blow up and blow up. And pretty soon I see, and I'm just standing there because, you know, I'm pastor. Like, I don't know what to do, right? So I'm just standing there. But then I see one of the nurses. There's like a random table, and like a nurse goes over and picks up a syringe. Just picks it up. I don't know what's in it. Goes, picks it up, and then starts to walk toward Lisa. And so I like jump up, right? I go up like, no, you will not put that in my kid. I don't know what that is. I don't know where it's been. You are not going to put that in my kid. And like the nurse starts freaking out, and Ben comes over. So I tell Ben, listen, we're done. We're out of here. Let's get in the car and let's drive to Bangkok. Because in Bangkok, there is an Adventist hospital with an anti-venom unit. That's what Lisa needs. Can we get her there? Is she going to make it? And Ben's like, yeah, okay, I think we can get her there, and she's going to make it. It's 6.5 hours to get there. So it's right, crazy late, you can imagine. We get her in the car. We start driving like crazy people to Bangkok for this anti-venom unit, and I am just begging God because I am out of control, and I'm in a storm, and it's terrible. And like, I just remember praying with my other sponsor, Jessica. We prayed together, and I begged God. I said, God, I refuse to bring Lisa home in a box. I refuse. You've got to save her. So we get to Bangkok. She's there for a couple days. The doctors do their thing, and praise the Lord, right? Sunday came, and there she is coming out of the hospital. The rest of our tribe, or our people from Loma Linda, they came and visited, and so yeah, they came just to be there for Lisa. When they rolled her out, we had this big party, and actually we started dancing, right? We were just singing this song, you know, our feet rose to dance, whatever. No, we were dancing, because Lisa's not in a box. She's okay. And as we were doing that, we looked up, and what do you think we saw? A rainbow. Sometimes, church, I know, junk happens. And it's like we're out of control. We don't get it. We can't see past the whatever. But sometimes God says, no, I know you're going through some junk. I know you're in a storm, but just listen. I will give you a sign that I'm in control. And sometimes that happens after the storm. But there are other times in the Bible when it happens during the storm. I don't know if you know or have read your Ezekiel recently. Right, Ezekiel, like this guy who like grew up in the temple, right? His whole life was in this temple, and then basically, long story short, the temple's destroyed. And here's the thing: Ezekiel's life, everything he knew, was over. It was gone. Where he worked, where he lived, everything was gone. He had nothing. And so, right in the middle of that, he's taken off to Babylon in chains. And right in the middle of that, during his storm, when it was all taken away, this is what the Bible says in Ezekiel 1. It says, and on this throne, right, he sees a vision. He says, and on this throne, high above was a figure whose appearance resembled a man. From what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like a gleaming amber flickering like a fire. And from his waist down, he looked like a burning flame shining with splendor. And all around him was a glowing halo, like a rainbow, shining in the clouds on a rainy day. This is what the glory of the Lord looked like to me, and when I saw it, I fell face down on the ground, and I heard someone's voice speaking to me. Here it is again. He's going through some junk. He's in this storm. He sees a rainbow, and he hears a voice. Sometimes God speaks and tells us that he's in control in the middle of a storm. I was in my office. This is, again, at Loma Linda. Spent a lot of time there. And I don't remember what day it was. It doesn't really matter. I was in my office, and my phone rang. I recognized the number, so I answered. It was one of my students' dad. And this student, he graduated now, but this student, he's okay if I tell you the story. I asked him, but he doesn't want me to use his name because, we're Adventists and everybody knows everybody. So let's just call him Josh. And Josh was a troubled boy. And his dad, right, knew that he was like a troubled boy and whatever. And so it was Josh's dad. And so I'm like, hey, Josh's dad. And he says, hey, are you at school? I'm like, yeah, I'm in my office. He goes, okay, I'll be right there. I'm like, okay. He's like, I got to see you. It won't take long. I'm just going to run home, grab my gun, and I'll be right there. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, we're in Loma Linda, okay? And he just hangs up. So I know all the administrators right now are just like freaking out, right? Like, oh, protocol, blah. Okay, I know, I understand all that. So I go out to the parking lot. It was just a few minutes. I go out to the parking lot. I see him drive in. And when he pulls up, he motions for me to come over to the car. So I go over to the car. He goes, get in, get in. Okay. So I get in this car, which you should never do. And he just speeds off. And so I'm like, okay, Mr. Josh's dad, what are we doing? And he says, Josh is in trouble. He's hanging out with those boys again. You know the boys, and I did. We had a special relationship. And he's like, he's with those boys again. They're doing, it doesn't matter what they were doing, but they were doing some stuff. And he goes, he's in trouble, and there could be some trouble, so I wasn't really sure. I'm kind of panicking right now, so I had to go get my gun just in case. You got to go with me, right? My son, Josh, that's his name, right? That's what we said. Okay, Josh, he respects you, so you got to come with me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we go. Josh's mom is in the back seat, and Dad is driving. He goes just not too far, like not even a mile or so down the road to the spot, and there it is. He pulls over, and there's a car. And you can tell what's happening in the car. And so he's there with some boys in the car. Josh's dad pulls over, and he goes, okay, come on, let's go get Josh. So I'm like, okay. So we both get out of the car. We start walking to the car that was parked with Josh and his homies in it. And we start walking up. Pretty soon the door opens, and Josh gets out. And he starts kind of walking toward us. But you can tell, like, he is not okay. There's something definitely wrong either in his head or his body or whatever. So he's kind of staggering. He's having this awful time trying to like walk. And so Josh's dad kind of panics a little bit. He's a medical professional, so is the mom. And so we kind of walk a little brisker to try and get to Josh. And then Josh just hits the sidewalk. He hits the ground. At that moment, the boys in the car, they just take off. Josh's dad and I, we run over to Josh. Josh, and again, I'm not a medical professional, but they all were. So he looks at Josh and says, we got to get him to the emergency room now. So we pick him up. He was not a light boy. So we pick him up. We take him back to the car. I'm not sure why we didn't just drive the car over. That would have been it doesn't matter. Anyway, so we pick him up. We take him back to the car, like get him in the car. Mom is in the back, and Mom, like I said, is also a medical professional, is looking, and she starts to panic a little bit, and Dad just takes off, right, like getting to the hospital, which also wasn't very far. So we start, like, I'm just sitting there in the front seat, and he's just speeding to get to the emergency room parking lot. And he pulls into the emergency room parking lot, turns off the car. We're about to go, like, get out of the car and get Josh and take him in. when there's like this eerie, almost palpable silence in the back seat. And we look, and there's his mom, just tears. And she says to Dad and I, but really Dad, I just happen to be there, I can't find his pulse. And so you can kind of imagine what happens in that moment. So we like panic, we go and we get him, and then, and so together, Mom, Dad, and I, like the three of us are carrying him, like running for this boy to get in there. In the middle of a storm. And then it happens. We're carrying him and jostling him around, and then he opens his eyes. And it was like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. He looks at his mama, and he says, Mom, I need a relationship with Jesus. Just like that. Take him in and whatever, and now he's fine. He graduated, and he's living a life. Here's the thing, like sometimes in the middle of a storm, you're going through your thing, and it seems like it's out of control, like there's no hope, there's no way to get through it or whatever. According to your scriptures and mine, sometimes God shows up, gives us a sign that he's in control, and speaks to us. Sometimes in the middle. But then according to your scriptures, sometimes it happens before the storm. This is like the last thing. So you guys know there's this guy, his name's John. He's on the island of Patmos, right? And he writes this book called Revelation. He's stuck there on Patmos. And he has this vision. And we know the story. As he has this vision, he sees like all of the storms that are going to happen before, right, the end of the world. He sees all the stuff. You just think about the things that he could have seen, right? Like the stuff during the Middle Ages and the early church and all the persecution and natural disasters and plagues and famines and wars and death, right? He sees all these storms. But then before the storms, before it happens, this is what he says in Revelation 4. It says, Then I looked, and I saw a door standing open in heaven. And the voice I had heard before spoke to me. There's the voice again, right? We see it, a voice. The voice spoke to me like a trumpet blast. The voice said, Come up here, and I will show you what must happen after this. It's like before the storms, before all the stuff at the end of the age, right? I'm going to show you what happens before. And instantly I was in the Spirit, and I saw a throne in heaven and someone sitting on it. The one sitting on the throne was as brilliant as gemstones, like jasper and carnelian, and the glow of an emerald circled his throne like a rainbow. And so it's like sometimes God says, I will speak to you and I will show you that I'm in control. And sometimes that will happen before it happens, before the storm. And so I don't know. Some of you, I'm thoroughly convinced from hanging out this week and kind of talking a little bit, some of you are in something right now. And some of you, you just came from something. And you know what that was like. But some of you, maybe you're about to head into something. I don't know what it is, and you don't know what it is, but some of us right now are about to head into something. Something that we're dealing with, something that would kind of make us look like this. But before all of this, God says, no, I will speak to you, and I will let you know. I will give you a sign that I am in control. And it seems like time and time again we see that in the scriptures he gives us a sign through a rainbow. Now here's the thing. What is the deal with God and rainbows? I wasn't really sure. So I did some research. Well, what's so interesting about rainbows? And one thing that I think is interesting, as I try and find it, is this. Have you ever thought about this? Rainbows, so this is according to, some research. Rainbows are always accompanied by a storm. Okay, it's kind of interesting. When you see a rainbow, there's always a storm connected to it. Something else that is interesting, the sun, check it out. Whenever we see a rainbow, the sun is always behind you when you face it. So in other words, if you're in a storm and you see a rainbow, the sun has got your back. Okay, it's interesting. Here's another thing I found interesting. Every single one of us sees a different rainbow. If there was a rainbow that would appear like right now in front of us, like on this stage, every single one of us would see a different rainbow. It's very personal and very individual. Something else. the lower the sun is in the sky, the more bow we see. So in other words, the darker it is, the more the rainbow appears. Which I was like, okay, that's nice. But here's something else that I found really interesting. And that is that, have you ever noticed, sometimes rainbows are like really, really clear and bold and like obvious, like you can see them. And sometimes it's really, really faint, like, I can't really tell if it's there. Okay, there's a reason for this. And that is that the brightness and the clarity of a rainbow depends on the size of the water droplets. So in other words, the harder the storm, the clearer the rainbow. There's this thing about God and rainbows and speaking and telling us that he is in control. And here's the thing, here's the reality. Some of you have just been through one, some of you are in one, and some of you are about to go through one. But here is the thing, and we don't know what it is. Maybe it's health-related or family-related or relational or financial or emotional or spiritual or whatever. And some of us, it's going to look and it's going to sound different. But at the end, it just kind of makes us sick. And I'm not sure, like, what it is, but there's, like, what it is for you. But here's the thing. No matter what happens through this stuff, God continues to tell us and give us all these signs that he will speak and he will let us know that he is in control. And there's one more thing that's amazing about this and messes in our lives and going back and forth, living these two things. And Moses really gives us something interesting, gives us some insight about how to handle this. You guys know Moses, right? He was, he led the Israelites to the river, and he got them there, right? He led the people for 40 years. For 40 years, he was leading these people. And Moses leads the people. He gets them up to the promised land. He gets them right there. And right when he's there, he goes and he has a conversation with God. Moses wants to take the people to the promised land. And so he goes and has this conversation with God, and this is what he says. He says, the Lord said to Moses, get going. You and the people you brought up from the land of Egypt. Go up to the land I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, just understand this. Moses wanted to take the Israelites to the promised land. That's what he wanted. And here, God is telling Moses, I'm going to give you what you want. Just go. I'm giving you what you want. You can do it. But then we read this verse. God says, but I will not travel among you. Now, this is phenomenal. So, God says to Moses, I'll give you what you want. But just know I'm not going to go with you. And I wonder, like, if I were Moses, would I have taken that deal? Or what if you were Moses? And what if God says to you, I know what you want, and you can go ahead. You can have what you want. I'll give it to you. Go ahead. Just know I'm not going to go with you. Would you have taken that deal? So God says to Moses, go ahead, take the people, but I'm not going to go with you. And then I love this. This is what Moses says back. This is amazing. Then Moses said, if you don't personally go with us, don't make us leave this place. So Moses says to God, listen, I know it's kind of a mess. It's actually sick. I know you're there. I know you want to give me what I want, but unless you go with me, he says, I am not moving. That's what Moses says. And so it's like he says, okay, thank you, God, but I will not leave this place. I will not take one more step without you going with me. What if we were to say that? Whatever year you happen to be in, if you're a faculty or a staff or a parent or family or someone watching online or whatever, like what would happen at GCA? What would happen as a school or as a church or as a community if whatever we said, okay, God, thank you for everything, but we're done looking like this. We're done. We don't want to take one more step. What if we echoed this? We don't want to take one more step without you with us. And I'm not sure what that looks like for you, right? Some of us, right? Maybe you have like a habit, right? And you guys are smart. You understand how to how to spell habit, right? Habit, right? Just imagine here, like H-A-B-I-T, habit. And so some of us, you're thinking, okay, God, we're having a week of prayer. We've been talking about some stuff, but, there's that H. And, okay, I'm going to work really hard and take the H away. But you guys know this. Every time you work really hard to take the H away of your habit, a bit is still left. And so then you go and you talk to your teacher, or you have an accountability partner, or you try praying a little bit more or whatever, and you try to take the H and the A away from the habit, but you understand, bit is still there, whatever it is, and then you try even harder, right? And you're like, I'm going to grind it out. You're trying really, really hard to get rid of this habit, so you take the H and the A and the B away, but we all understand, it is still there. So what would happen if we said, like Moses, I don't want to take one more step without you going with me. And so it is still there. And so what would happen if we took the I away and all that's left is the T, which stands for Jesus? It's like, okay, Jesus, I'm just giving it to you. I'm giving it to you. Just take it. What would this place look like? What would your friends look like? What would your life look like, or your family, or our community? If we just echoed these words, not one more step without you. No matter what happens, we have junk, we have storms, it happens. And God tells us that it happens. But ultimately he says, I'm with you. I'm in control. I'm always in control. I will speak to you. And sometimes I'll speak to you during your mess. Sometimes it will come after. Maybe for some of us about to go into something, maybe this is him speaking to you now before. But what would happen if we just said no? Just like Moses, not one more step will I take without you with me.
The start before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and flashed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. If the stars were made to worship, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you made. Burning star, a signal fire of praise. If creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature, so
If the oceans roar your greatness, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. If the rocks cry out in silence, so will I. If the sum of all our praise still falls shine, then we'll sing again 100 million times. Oh, God of salvation, you chase down my heart through all of my failure and pride. On the hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. Where you lost your life so I could find you here. If you left the grave behind you, so will I. I can see your heart and everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. If you gladly chose surrender, so will I. I can see your heart a billion different ways. Every precious one, a child you died to save. If you gave your life to love them, so will I. Like you would again 100 billion times. What measure could amount to your desire? You're the one who never leaves the one behind.
Sometimes life is just hard and it's out of control. And things happen and we just cry out sometimes like, where are you? Because stuff happens and it hurts. And we're hurt, and our families hurt, and our friends hurt, and stuff happens, and we just don't get it sometimes. And God, sometimes we come to something like this, and we're like, yes, I need to have this relationship with you. I want to start over, but then, there's other stuff. But God, just help us. Help us as a people, as a church. Help our unbelief. I just beg that you just, the power of Jesus and the Spirit and the Father, you come in and you would just invade our lives and invade this church and this campus. May we hear your voice, see your signs that you are in control. If we're going through something right now, if we've been through something over the summer or in the past or last week or last month or last year or yesterday, thank you for getting us through that. But God, here's the reality. We're still stuck on this planet and stuff still happens and storms come. We will all face them. All of us will face them. And so God, I just beg that you remind us, that you speak and give us the ears to hear your voice, that yes, you're there. We can hold on to your hand because you are still in control. So remind us of that. Help us as a church and as a people to encourage each other, to be there for each other. And sometimes it doesn't mean saying something. It just means being there. Help us just to be there for each other. So God, I thank you for how you've been here through the music and through the dramas and stuff that's happened this week. We have one more day tomorrow morning here at church. We're going to celebrate as a community, as a church, as people are giving their lives to you in baptism. I mean, wow. Only you do that. And God, somehow through that and through other things, like people are experiencing you in a very real way. And we thank you for that. And God, maybe for us, we just need some more of that ourselves. So be with us as we kind of continue tonight and Afterglow and other stuff that happens and tomorrow in church. I just pray that you continue to walk with us and bless us as we finish out the week tomorrow. But ultimately, Father, may we echo the words of Moses. Not one step. I don't want to get out of this pew. I don't want to leave this building unless you are with me. So God, be with us is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.